Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm John Cormier, petitioner, once again for the Greenfield Park coach pedophile against the city of Longueuil, Greenfield Park, and I'll use the name again one more time, Francois Lamar. Today is May 20th, 2025, and we have 27 days to the deadline for victims to come forward. We had some success last week with video entry, so I thought perhaps I would try one today. Maybe I can do a couple, maybe with some other people down the stretch here, but for today it's just me. I'm going to follow along with some notes because, of course, there's a lot. So, to the victims of Greenfield Park coach, cop, pedophile, please know I understand what you're going through and the confusion you're experiencing. There is a term in psychology, and it's called dissociation. In short, it is where a person disconnects and almost creates a completely separate version of himself. It's a protection mechanism where you don't have to deal with the thoughts and the feelings. It's something I've experienced from a very young age, though naturally I didn't understand what I was doing at such a young age, but it was just a natural protection I was involved in. This is no way to live. It's not healthy. It doesn't have to be forever, guys. When you bury these live feelings, certainly the bad, unthinkable experiences from childhood, they just sit there in your core. They never go away unless you deal with them. So you think you've buried things deep, and that's where they're going to remain until something triggers them. And then you have to deal with an avalanche of emotions that you're not equipped to handle on your own. These feelings and emotions surface like it's in real time, like they're happening all over to you in current day. The fact that they were 40 or 50 years ago doesn't matter. You may think you've tricked your body, but you haven't. This has nothing to do with being strong-minded. You'd be hard-pressed to find anyone more strong-minded than I am. This has nothing to do with the mind. Sexual abuse and child endangerment. These secrets are lodged in your core, right in the core of your body. That has nothing to do with your mind. Recovery is very tough to deal with. I get it. You have to first be honest with yourself. Dig down deep. Pull those ugly memories from places that you buried them so many years ago. It could be excruciating, but with time, it gets easier and so rewarding. Look in the mirror. Be honest with yourself. Haven't you lived someone else's shame long enough? This is not your shame to continue to carry. This is the professional pedophile coach and his family. They should be ashamed as well. They knew. They knew. You were an innocent child. You did nothing wrong. Stop carrying that shame. It's tough work, but for anyone who believes that they will be judged, ridiculed, or ostracized, I promise you, you are completely wrong. Give people more credit than that. They will actually help you, listen to you. They're going to embrace your courage. I absolutely know this to be true. I've been living it. There will always be a couple of knuckleheads and exceptions to the rule. I've experienced that as well. Two who I considered my closest friends in my life. But you have to ask yourself, are those the weak-minded, pathetic people who really want in your life? One of the two that I mentioned carries the deep shame. And I've seen it. He has a secret that is going to remain in his core, and it's going to eat him up. He's only kidding himself in any event. They have long been replaced with tremendous new friends and others who have been upgraded from status of acquaintances to very important people in my life. Your spouse and your kids are going to rally behind you. They're going to support you completely. I've been very fortunate with the most incredible wife and son I could ask. My wife has been behind me 100% long before the arrest was made in this case. I was concerned for my son, who was in his late teens when all this bubbled to my surface. We went out for dinner one night, and though I had difficulty finding the words, my wife helped me that night tremendously. We explained the situation. His response, "Go get the bastard, Dad." Since that day, my son has been behind me and my biggest supporter. He respects me more now than before. Don't ever think your family won't do the same with you, because they will. Everyone is going to respect you even more by displaying your courage. It's not too late. My wife and my son became my two key healers. Remember, you did nothing wrong. You are an innocent child. This is not your shame to carry. But you have to take the next step and reach out for help. You're going to be absolutely shocked by the help that is available to you, and not to mention the compassion and empathy you're going to be greeted by. You've hopefully seen the video that I posted last week with Pierre Boivin and Emily Painter, lawyers of the firm Kugler Kendiston, that have been representing me and the victims of this case for about 4.5 years. These are the two most trusting and amazing people that I've ever met. Trust them. I promise you, trust them. There's been a lot of confusion about what sexual assault really is. In the video I posted last week, Emily did an amazing job explaining the legal definition of what exactly and specifically constitutes sexual assault. I'm going to place that segment and that clip of the video of the interview from last week. I'm going to place it in right here, and I'll be back.
Sure, John, I'm happy to speak on that, and it's a great question. So you're right, we're really talking about a very vast range of sexual assaults. I think it's helpful to remind people that the Quebec government defines sexual assault as all forms of sexual touching of genitalia, buttocks, thighs, whether it's over, under clothes, groping. Of course, there's masturbation, penetration, and voyeurism and such. But we've heard from countless victims that Frank would often play fight with children and use this as an opportunity to grab their genitalia. And we absolutely consider this to be sexual assault. It's clear to us that Frank perpetrated these acts for his own personal sexual gratification. And so the people that have had that experience should absolutely complete the claim form and speak to us if they have any questions. Ultimately, of course, it's the adjudicator that is named by the court that will decide whether any specific case constitutes sexual assault. And she will assess this both by reading the text of the claim form, but most importantly, by meeting with these victims in a completely confidential and very safe environment. Lastly on this point, I think it's important to remind everyone that it's been long recognized that sexual assaults, especially assaults against children and minors, automatically cause harms to victims. So even a victim that does not think that what he or she suffered was quote unquote that bad, or whether they don't even know if they've suffered harms at all, automatically the Supreme Court of Canada has said that sexual assault constitutes and perpetrates harm. So those people as well should absolutely submit a claim form, and we'll be happy to walk them through every step of the process.
That perfect description by Emily should clear up all questions and ambiguity for everyone. The other area that I know people are questioning is that if they come forward, their claim will take away from other victims that they consider or think that they may have been affected worse than they were. First, there is no worse. Sexual assault affects people differently. It's black and white. You either were or you were not. I know this coach wrestled, fondled, grabbed likely thousands of kids over 50 years. I could name hundreds just off the top of my head from things I watched at the arena and teammates. It happened. Time to acknowledge that it happened, and let's all deal with it. I can tell you that I met with an amazing doctor in Montreal as part of our case. He's been in the business for 50 plus years. He has done every study and is sought after by every law firm in Montreal on cases such as this. When I sat and talked to this gentleman, we had an informal discussion afterwards, and he told me that he was classifying this coach as a professional pedophile. He checked all of the boxes, and in fact created new boxes because of his his police side of his personality. He stood behind that and he terrorized the town. So people were afraid of coming to this guy. It's important to keep in mind, you coming forward takes nothing away from any other victim. Please, please know that. It's not going to take anything from me or any other guy if you come forward today. The lawsuit is going to expand to fit all of the victims, not take away from anyone, I promise you. That's how class actions work in the United States, not in Canada. Pierre did an amazing job speaking on this topic, and I'm going to put that clip in here and I'll be back after.
Victim, you deserve to be compensated. The real success of this class action will depend on you. We hope that every victim of Frank Lamar will come forward and be compensated. That's our goal. That's the goal of John. That's the goal of the court. That's the goal of everyone. And by doing so, you do not take money away from other victims. That's important because people think that, victim thinks that I did not really suffer a lot of damage and I don't want to take money out of victims that suffer more and things like that. That's not the way the settlement is structured. You will not take money away of any other victim. You will simply get compensated for the damage that you sustained.
So victims of this predator, it's time to change your life. You did nothing wrong. Relationship issues, divorce, difficulty in school, alcohol, drug abuse, employment issues, concentration problems, anxiety, sleep issues, and so much more are all symptoms of the abuse you experienced that changed the course of your life. It is not your fault. The core feelings from those experiences are at play. Don't you owe it to yourself and your family to correct Greenfield Park history? What about your own history? It's time to make a call. What I've learned on this journey is to never judge anyone. It's always what happened to you, not what's wrong with you. My wife taught me that. She's way smarter than I am. People's experiences dictate their actions and reactions, but they can be explained. Take this opportunity to set the record straight and your life straight. Remember, this is in the core of your DNA. The anxiety and the negative feelings have likely been showing through cracks most of your life, but you were unaware. You were so young and it's been so long, these bad behaviors have become your norm. I guarantee someone has been upset by your actions somewhere in your life. So many victims are still downplaying and minimizing their experiences with this pedophile coach. It's very sad to hear and learn. I can't tell you how many times I've heard in conversation, yeah, I remember he used to wrestle and grab my crotch or fake punch me in the nuts. They say these things as routinely as, I'm going to go buy a coffee, not realizing that they are describing sexual assault. Exactly to the T, sexual assault, unwanted touching. It wasn't right. No amount of time is ever going to make what he did okay. Emily makes more incredible points in this next clip I'm going to put in right here, and I'll be back.
To answer your question about any victim that may be having difficult, conflicting emotions, we've heard from a lot of people that don't necessarily see themselves fit that conception, sometimes a misconception that we have about what, a sexual assault victim has gone through. A lot of people don't initially perceive themselves as victims, and so some have tried to do their best to leave the past in the past with more or less success, and others have tried to downplay their experience, maybe as a coping mechanism as well. Right. What I would like to tell all of those people is that they're entitled to compensation for everything that they've gone through at the hands of Frank Lamar. But the only way to get that compensation is if they send us a claim form before June 17th. And that's a strict delay. We'll discuss it a little bit later, but June 17th, the claim form must be submitted before that date. And so for anyone that has never spoken to anyone about their experience or their assault, for anyone that maybe has idolized Frank their entire lives, maybe they were shocked when they heard of the arrest, as you've mentioned, some have been. For some that have questioned what they've gone through, whether it could constitute sexual assault, for anyone that downplayed their experience or thought maybe others had it worse, for anyone that tried to convince themselves that things were a little bit different back then, as if that in any shape or form justifies a man abusing children. All of those people, if you've resonated with anything that we've discussed so far, I urge you to pick up the phone and to call us. We'll listen to you. We'll believe you. As we've mentioned, we'll answer any questions that you may have. We'll assist you if you need assistance in filling out the claim form. But in all of the years that we've been doing this job, we often hear from victims that are reluctant to come forward because they carry shame, they carry guilt for having been assaulted. It's a completely unfounded feeling, even though it's very, very common across victims of sexual assault. And again, to our earlier point about conflicting feelings, we know and we're very sensitive to the fact that some may have conflicting feelings about coming forward against Frank. Again, a person that was once beloved in Greenfield Park. But none of that excuses the acts that he perpetrated against innocent kids. The reality is that no victim can ever be blamed for their sexual assault. And Frank Lamar, in this case, was a professional pedophile. The only responsibility falls with the perpetrator himself and with the adults that are responsible for having created the risk of abuse. And again, we urge anyone to call us, to speak to us. Do it now rather than later, even though it may be easier to put this off. June 18th will be.
It takes extraordinary courage to acknowledge the abuse. I've been prepared for this. I first tried to get this coach arrested in 1997. When the arrest happened in 2019, which was my third and final try, I knew it was coming and I was prepared. I understand how this news terrified so many in Greenfield Park. It threatened your secret. It threatened your safety. At that time, I did not have lawyers. It was just me. I was spending 10.5 hours a day fighting everyone and anyone. And that included media, and I was trying to get lawyers and investigators and police. No one was helping, no one was listening, and I was running out of options. It was no easy task to have a cop arrested. I can't speak much more on that subject for now, except to say that I'm not done. I'm not done. There's more to expose, and how this gentleman was allowed to go 50 years. This is my mission, the path I chose. I sacrificed a great deal and plugged from my businesses and my family for virtually 7 years to move things to where they are today. I wanted to help victims. All you have to do is make the call. The work has been done. I stopped counting the amount of time that I've spent on this case long ago. And it was easily 25,000 hours that I've put in. Imagine my disappointment to pave the way for so many to come forward and acknowledge what they saw and know to be true. So few are coming forward. Take the help that's being offered and make that call today, please. It's time to reach out. You have only 27 days remaining, and it will blow by quickly. It's the secrets and the shame that keep us locked in place, sputtering in life. I'm 63 years old. I've been screaming about this professional pedophile since I was 35 years old to police. But silently, I've been screaming my entire life. There were signs. There were signs. People saw it. There were signs. It takes time. Everyone in their own time. I get it. Now is your time. And that time is running out. And to finish this video, I just want to say, guys, to my many teammates over the years, from mosquito hockey all the way up to bantam and midget, what are we doing here, guys? What are we doing? Come on. We were always tougher than this. What are we doing? It's time. It's time for you to acknowledge and make the call. We were all in those dressing rooms. We were all in those hallways. We were all in front of Eddie's. We were all in his car. We were fighting together, 5, 6 of us, 7 of us at a time, all the time, taking turns wrestling with this guy. What are we doing, guys? Now's your time. Please pick up the phone, send an email, reach out to Pierre, reach out to Emily, but time is running out. Let's get on the phone, guys. Come on. I know you to be tougher than that. Thank you.